Well, we've been talking about it for a while, but it is getting closer slowly. We're talking about the need for Real ID, and we thought we'd talk with one of the experts to find out what we need and when we need it. James May is the district press officer with PennDOT. You were here before about this. We need an update, and a lot of people still confused about what is Real ID and when do I need it?
Well, Real ID is essentially some security enhancements that the federal government put in place for things like flying on an airplane, going into federal buildings, and it all came from the events on September 11, 2001, just looking at how can we improve security for Americans as we're traveling and as we're going into federal buildings. So they came along and they said there's some enhanced security. So right now you can do a lot of things online. You can renew your driver's license, and some of those things they've looked and said they want to make sure that they're more secure than what they are. And so that's why they've come along and said that if you want to do things like go on an airplane, go into federal buildings, you have to have this Real ID. It's a new, enhanced, more secure driver's license, and that would be the driver's license that you would be able to use to do things like flying.
So we're not going to be mandated to have it.
Right. What will take place is in October 2020, that's when flying and going into federal buildings and stuff like that, if any place that you show an ID where you want to get into a federal building, where you're going to show your driver's license, they will require it to be a Real ID driver's license. What you can be doing now, however, is beginning in March of 2019, you can get pre-qualified. That means you can take, and I would tell your viewers to just go online and look at the various requirements of what you need, because it would be your birth certificate and then some other things that are all listed on there as options. To take those into your local DMV, and you could get pre-qualified, and that way when we're able to issue the Real ID, you can then have that issued to you right away, and you can do that online. It would save you some hassle and some time later on. So beginning in March, you can get pre-qualified, and it won't be required until October of 2020.
Alrighty. Are there some things that maybe people are confused? They think they need a Real ID for, but they actually don't.
Well, if you're going into a federal building for something like going to court, you don't need it. If to get any kind of federal programs, you don't need Real ID for those type of things. I think where it will impact most people would be on flying, and that's going to probably be the one where you'll see it the most. And then if you're going into federal buildings for not just to go, to stop into a court case or something like that, but say around here, if you want to go on to Toby Hanna Army Depot, they could require Real ID at that point. So those type of things. I know that some truck drivers have actually contacted me who do deliveries, and they've said that, okay, I'm not an employee, but I do deliver, and I've had people, and so yes, in those cases they would be required. Some of the nuclear facilities and other places where you have to show your driver's license to get in, they will most likely be requiring Real ID in those type of places as well.
And there is an extra charge for this when we get the Real ID.
There is, and that information is all online. There's a $30 fee and then a renewal fee that you would have with that. And they've actually set it up so that if your current driver's license expires earlier and you go to renew that you don't want to pay for the full 4-year renewal. So they can prorate that, and so all of that information is online. You can go to dmv.pa.gov and you can look at the Real ID information on there, because there is a lot of information there that's available, and there's a lot of aspects to this.
All right. Well, you've summed it up quite well for us. So now we know what to do. So go to the website, check it out, and find out if and when you want to get that information, or if you're going to need the Real ID. We hope we informed you well enough so that you know all the details.